There was the close call with lightning in the barn. My sister and I were sitting in the open loft window watching the storm come on. Lightning snaggled out of nowhere and seemed headed directly for us, but it stopped before reaching the window frame. I was sure it had nicked my sister's hand, but she was untouched. Then there was being caught climbing all the way out onto the barn roof, knowing it was expressly off limits. I got caught with Dad's favorite candy under toys in my wagon. I walked my bike on the wrong side of the road and was nearly hit by a truck. But none of those compare to this pinnacle of my young misbehavior. And that occurred on the day my brother and sister and I found a pile of beer bottles dumped by the side of the road. Without even a word between us, we began throwing them on the pavement. We were thrilled by the bursting, the crashing, the splintering sounds, and then the awful crunching when a car would drive over the mess. The driver would glare at us, but we kept on tossing, listening for that satisfying crash, moving mechanically in a trance. Did we think we wouldn't get caught at this? Pretty soon, a New Jersey state trooper pulled up in a dark blue and gold car and asked us, "What are you doing?" He took us home and our mother was called. Our neighbor Charlotte was looking after us. She had no idea where we'd been. In those days, we just roamed the fields and woods, and it was okay so long as we came back by dinner time. When Mom got home, we all drove back to the glass-covered road, the three of us kids huddling in the back seat. Charlotte said, as we came to the fateful curve and the tires gnashed and crunched, "This here is what your children have been doing." Mom gasped and turned around, yelling at us. She forgot for a moment that she was driving. I'm sure there was a series of punishments, including being grounded for a week. But the most important punishment she arranged for us, a kind of command performance, was to apologize to the state troopers who had to clean up our mess. It disrupted traffic on our narrow two-lane road for quite a while during evening rush hour. My little sister wasn't asked to do this. She ran home before the police came, and we didn't tell on her. My brother and I were marched through the shiny plate glass doors of the state trooper station on Route 1, a big fieldstone structure. It looked like a fort from a movie. A tall and looming trooper in his broad brim hat was standing in the foyer waiting for us. The wall of glass behind him made him almost a cutout. My little brother was pushed towards his shiny boots. I couldn't watch. I heard him say faintly, "I'm sorry," before running back to Mom. Then I was shoved forward. My feet had stuck to the stone floor. I didn't raise my eyes to look into the face of the tree-sized man gazing down at me. In a monotone, I specifically apologized to his belt buckle. No further upward. He and my mother seemed satisfied. I don't think I was particularly sorry for creating a road hazard. I was too far at that point from understanding anything about cars, tires, traffic. I can imagine reasons we siblings might have had for smashing beer bottles on the road, things we couldn't articulate then. I was perhaps 7 or 8, and what I learned at this young age was how inconvenient it was to get caught. I vowed in the future I would not get caught. Thank you. True confessions.
I give it up for Rishi one more time. So now we have our first in-person reader, Lucy Helmer. Give it up.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for this group. This is wonderful.
Do you want to say?
No,
Okay.
I'm still standing, so I'm still on the planet, so, all is good. I'm really grateful. This has been an unexpected joy for me to be able to be in the group at SF Village. And, mostly it's a joy of listening to other people's stories. I thought, wow, I get to do my own thing, but it's really the listening that is the big gift. Anyway, this is cobbled together from two sessions. The first was from a prompt by Tarita about music, and the second part was either Melissa or Denise. I should have researched it before I came. Anyway, this is called My Mother. After the warmth of my mother's womb, there was the warm water in the tub on Cummings Lane, where she lifted me up and out into the warmth of her arms, wrapping me in a white towel as we looked at each other in the bathroom mirror, and she sang, "Just Molly and me, and baby makes three, we're happy in my blue heaven." That was a hit from 1928, first heard 20 years earlier when she was just 18 and only dreaming of a blue heaven, a man, a baby, true love. But of course, heavens like that often do get a bit blue. I adored my mother in those early years when she patted me to sleep with slow, strong pats as my sister and I vied for more pats as we lay in our twin beds on either side of double-hung bedroom windows that faced our backyard on Cummings Lane, where the Chipmunk family lived. How I loved her chipmunk stories that went with the steady rhythm of her pats. Pats she learned from Yaya in Yokohama, Japan, when she herself was a little girl, living with servants in long kimonos who tucked her into bed at night with the lullaby she sang to us now, the one first heard in her childhood house on the bluff, where foreigners thrived before the great earthquake of 1923 crumbled their privilege into rubble. That's when my mother, at 13, sailed to Shanghai as a refugee, watching her own mother's hair turn white overnight. The shock of that loss was camouflaged in my teenage mother's sturdy strides forward as group leader of the Swifts in her boarding school in England. Then at 25, she arrived from London, bright-eyed in New York City, where she fell in love with my handsome father, a Harvard-educated lawyer who swept her off her feet to defy his every wish, to defer, excuse me. A very important word. Very important word. Who swept her off her feet to defer to his every wish. And she did. So insecure was she without a college education, only finishing school in France. But her courage to stand tall returned when my father, ruler of the roost, my father, Pappy, ha ha ha, as he called himself, my father, the sarcastic jokester, stopped joking because the law firm he started with a friend in Washington, D.C., after their glory days in the New Deal began to fail. It was then My mother stepped in to prop up our family finances by striding her natural gift for sales out into the world, and I missed her. Yet her chipmunk stories continued every night. On weekends, in those dark days when my father often stayed in bed behind a closed door, my mother made us believe our hearth was still full of happy endings and starry light. But it wasn't. When was it I decided I didn't want to be like my mother, stuck in suburbia, cooking dinner perfunctorily every night with a bottle of Johnny Walker Black Label on the kitchen counter, poured and repoured over a glass of ice, transforming my mother into a cold woman with angry opinions and a strident tongue, so different from the one that told us chipmunk stories on Cummings Lane. We were now on Rayburn Road in a bigger house, built from money my mother earned from a whiplash injury sustained when a drunk ran into the back of our brand new 1954 Chrysler New Yorker Deluxe as our family of four waited for a red light in Wilmington, Delaware on Christmas Eve. We were en route to New York City to spend Christmas with my mother's younger sister, just months after their own mother died. I was 9 that night. My Christmas wonder became a nightmare. Oh, it gets complicated. But one thing I knew as I grew up and out of that second house was that I never wanted to be stuck in suburbia, kowtowing to Johnny Walker or any man who controlled the stride of my walk, the tone of my voice.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Next up, we have Susan Steinauer on Zoom. Direct from, I believe, Oakland, California.
Hi. This was a prompt, I think it was from Anthony, and it was to use our name and to write about that. It's called What's in a Name? I could have been Shoshana, but instead I'm Susan. I could have been wealthy, but I'm not. Not that I'm complaining. I have loved, been in love, been given love. My name is Susan, a name that appeared in the Bible, meaning lily, symbolizing purity, beauty, innocence. I've been called Susie when I was small, a name popular during the Middle Ages. I could have been Susana. Early on, my Spanish-speaking music teacher called me Susi. Her speech was musical. Long ago, I was given this name, and when my children came, I gave them names. David, meaning beloved, and Sarah, who was a matriarch of the Jewish people. I am Susan, but called Sue by many and by choice. All of these names have deep historical roots. I could have been named Methuselah, but I'm not. I won't live to be 969 years old. I am Susan, here for a short time on Earth. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you so much. Let's hear it for Susan one more time. Next we have Bertha Canty.
In person.
Bertha, yes.
Yeah, I am.
Oh.
Resident account for.
There you go. Did you say the name?
Bertha Canty. I'm saying the last name correct, right?
Yes.
Okay, great.
What? Yes. Bertha Canty, Jersey girl.
A second Jersey girl, like.
Bertha Canty, a city child. There were two trees from my childhood that attracted me in curiosity. The first was a peach tree in Newark, New Jersey, in my father's neighbor's backyard. My first piece of fresh fruit was a peach. One summer I climbed the tree and got me a big peach. The first one had syrup all over it. I threw it away. The second one was sweet and I was happy with it. The second tree in my life was a magnolia in my neighbor's yard. I loved the blooms when I was a young child. I loved when the leaves were falling, colors of different stages. I traced them, made carbon copies because there was no Xerox yet. The trees and leaves have always been a part of my life. I live almost in a forest today. Plenty of trees to look at and admire in my senior year. Okay.
Thank you, Bertha. As a fellow tree lover, I'm with you all the way. Beautiful. Next up, we have Richard Lee, who I believe is also coming to us from Oakland.
Richard, you have to unmute yourself.
Live. Okay,
There you go.
my name is Richard Lee, and I'm writing about Chinatown actually, mostly because I grew up when Chinatown was redlined, and I want my grandchildren to, because they never will experience redlining thanks to the 1965 Civil Rights Act. So anyway, so I'm writing about Chinatown. In 1964, in Chinatown, there were 4 theaters that showed Chinese movies. On Grand Avenue between Jackson and Pacific Avenue, the most prominent of these were Sun Sing theaters. Sun Sing was also hosted the Chinese opera companies from China and later from Hong Kong. Most of the time, Sun Sing showed love stories and martial arts movies. Several times I went there to watch the martial arts movies. Lots of grandmothers and their babies and mothers with their babies and toddlers went to watch movies too. Sometimes they sat through 2 or 3 runs of the movie. During the movies, the women chatted and ate it, and occasionally they talked loudly to another woman sitting in 2 or 3 rows away while eating. They bring snacks, lunches, sometimes dinners. When they ate, they would throw the melon seeds, fruit pits, orange peels, and chicken bones on the floor. It was a mess. I felt sorry for the ushers. On Kearny Street between Washington and Jackson sat the Bella Union Theater. It showed Chinese and sometimes Filipino movies, but I never went there. There were 2 theaters on Jackson Street, the Great Star below Grand Avenue and Daiguan above Grand Avenue. American movies were also shown at Daiguan. Daiguan was adjacent to the alley where my mom worked. She worked at a sewing factory. After school, when I was in 3rd grade, I'd go to her sewing factory. I snacked, sat around being goofy, or watched the women sew. Once in the late afternoon, my mom took off. She decided we should go to the movies. We left her workplace, exited the alley, turned right, and walked uphill about 100 feet to Daiguan. Mom paid. We entered the theater, bypassed the concession stand, and entered the auditorium. There were hardly any people there. We sat in the middle of the middle, the best seats in the house. The movie was playing. It was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, a wonderful movie. After the movie ended, I wanted to stay and watch it again, but Mom had to work. By, by the stage on the right-hand side, we exited the theater. We came out at the front door of her factory. She went back to her sewing machine. I went back to being goofy. For the next few days, I begged Mom for money to see the movie again. Over the next several weeks, I got nickels. Several times I went alone and saw Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. But now I wonder what if that was Mom's plan. Away from Chinatown, there were two theaters on Broadway. On the south side, in the middle of Broadway, between Stockton and Grant, was the World Theater, which showed Chinese movies. Across the street and opposite, on the north side, was Verdi Theater. For 10 cents after I turned 12, my parents let me go alone to Verdi. It was a third run theater. Third run title comes from the first run after the first run movies were released in downtown Market Street. Market Street had theaters like Fox, Warfield, and Paramount, showing first run Hollywood movies. After that, movies went to outlying theaters like New Mission or Cornet, and lastly, to a third run theater like the Verdi. It also means that there were fewer people watching. When Verdi showed The War of the Worlds starring Gene Barry, I went 3 times and saw the movie 5 times. People would come in and find their seats and sit down. Halfway through the movie or waiting for the next feature, they went to the concession stand. They searched their pockets for a dime or a quarter for popcorn. Sometimes people dropped their money. They looked for it a little while and they turned their attention back to the theater. By watching the movie, most people were transported. They forgot about the money. When I finished watching, I walked down the gentle slope to the front row, pushed up the seats, squat down, and got on my hands, knees, and mostly my belly. In the dark theater, I crawled under the seats. I avoided crawling near people. I worked my way to the top looking for money. Crawling along the way, I met 10-cent popcorn boxes, Milk Duds candy boxes, and Look candy bar wrappers, and more. Row by row, crawling slowly, because I didn't want to miss a coin. A lot of times I found pennies, a few nickels and dimes, and if I was lucky, I found a quarter. I didn't look for money when I took my brothers and sisters. One late afternoon, I was 14. I was old enough to take my sister Zimra, age 4, to the movies. When the double feature was over, we exited the theater, Ferdy. It was dark. By the light of the street lamps and the marquee, the sidewalk was bright. On the sidewalk was a newspaper man. Behind him was his truck. In front of him, on the sidewalk, was several crates. Atop the crates, he had the call bulletin newspapers. Standing on top of the newspapers was Smokey Bear. Smokey Bear was brown, about 18 inches long, 10 inches wide, and 5 inches thick, with his blue long jeans, and he wore a boater hat and a wide belt that read Smokey. Lots of children surrounded him, pointing at Smokey. Zimra wanted Smokey the Bear, and the salesman was talking about the newspapers and the bear. In his hand, he had subscription forms. I said, "What's it take to get the bear?" He said, "Go around and ask people to subscribe and have them fill out the forms." I said, "How many subscriptions do I need?" He replied, "Just 5 subscriptions." I said, "Okay." He handed me 10 forms. Me and my sister went around the corner. In the dim light, I filled out 5 forms with fictitious names and phony and waited about 15 minutes and returned to the front of the theater. He was still trying to convince other kids to go out and get subscription. I gave him my filled out forms and he took them and gave me the bear. I received the bear and promptly gave it to Zimra. Through the years, it remained her favorite, a little worn and raggedy Smoky Bear. That's the end.
Thank you so much, Richard. This is.
Oh, yeah, Amy.
Sorry,
No,
I had a job.
Yeah, thank you so much, Richard. That is one of the best parts of this job is just getting to read all the amazing, great stories and poems that you folks put together. Up next, we have Carolyn Bass. So,
Okay.
relatively good. Or you can sit down. Or stand.
Stand.
Okay, let me move this chair out of the way.
Thank you.
Take it away.
Hi, my name is Carolyn and I like to go by CB. And the name of my short story is called Leaping Lizards, the Lake Family. The early years. It's a blustery day in leafy Greenwood. Liza Lake Aka, Mama Lizard, is looking out the window. No sign of the wind letting up. Leaves falling like confetti. How appropriate for the celebration of the birth of little Lenny Lake. Liza is gushing with pride. She's got it all. Her hubby, Leo, the mortgage paid off on their log in the Forest Green District this week, and now Lenny. All their special family and friends are coming to the party, with the exception of their snooty neighbor, Christabel, and her son, Cooper, a terror through and through. Liza turns a bright red. She takes several deep breaths, turning back to her standard green. Hearing Leo calling her, she puts on a pastel green apron that matches her emerald necklace and green ballet flats. Hubby Leo really outdid himself this time with planning. It's a green theme: food, balloons, decor, and lots of party favors. All the chairs are lined up perfectly to play the game, shredding the tail the quickest. The doorbell rings as Liza noticed baby Lenny and Leo looking so cute in their matching green tuxes and hats.
Leo, huh? Can you get the door? I forgot to make my claws green.
Sure, baby, no rush. I'll entertain the guests with my latest stand-up comedy routine.
Latest comedy routine? Maybe I should rush.
She thinks.
Thanks, you're such a dear.
Liza, taking advantage of the wind, lets it dry her polished green claws. She debates whether to apply bright lime lipstick to her lips.
Nah, perfect.
She thinks, while listening to all the clatter at little Lenny's celebration. Jazz plays softly in the background. The lizards are enjoying themselves, including baby Lenny, peacefully drinking his green formula. Mama Lizard, while filling the plate with green goodies, looks in the direction of the shedding of the tail, the quickest game. How shocking to see their snooty neighbor, Christabel, and her son Cooper participate. Cooper is winning and has a smug look. Liza, frowning, thinks that her husband Leo, always a diplomat, must have invited them. Christabel's son wins.
I'm gonna try my claw and diplomatic skills with Christabel's son.
She thinks. She attempts to congratulate him by extending her claw. He sticks out his tongue and hisses at her and Lenny. Liza mutters under her breath.
Well, I never. Is this how it's always gonna be?
27 years later, Liza beams with pride and sits with her husband and Lenny's girlfriend Harmony, a holistic doctor, as Lenny becomes the first in the family to receive a PhD in creative lizard arts. He's already a successful, award-winning filmmaker and writer.
All was perfect. Well, almost. If only Lenny would stop consuming so much green food. And if only Christabel and her son Cooper would stop stirring up trouble.
Liza thinks. Calmness envelopes the sky. As Liza, Leo, Letty, and Harmony finish a celebratory meal at a posh restaurant, news flashes across the screen. Cooper has banned all green and leafy greenwood. They wave their tails in displeasure. Mama Lizard begins hatching a plan to remove the ban. But in the meantime, they change their color to red. Letty tries and tries and tries. Green tears dripping down onto his face. Harmony wipes them away and explains it's all about balance, eating the rainbow, following her advice, and enjoying a mouth-watering meal, complete with a bib for the sauce. He starts turning red. Success. The story continues. Liza tells her grandchildren. Cooper explains to Lenny that he can't change to green. That is why he made the ban. As they hug, Lenny shares the solution, and Cooper removes the ban. Mama Lizard thinks,
My little Letty and Cooper are now besties. A perfect ending to a new beginning.
That was okay, halfway between a movie and a reading, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Irene Sardonis on Zoom.
Here we are. Thank you. I know we're close to summer here, but I want you to picture being in December and it's freezing in New York. And the theme, of course, is Christmas memories. It happens every year. I get the holiday blues. Memories of a childhood Christmas still haunt me. It was Christmas Eve, and I was 10 years old, alone with my mother. It was in the 1940s, and my siblings, all older than me, found ways to escape to relatives and leave me, saying as they left, "Take care of Mama." I didn't want to take care of my depressed, always ailing mother. I wanted someone to take care of me, to bring some holiday cheer to our gloomy tenement in the Bronx. I sat waiting, listening to the tick-tock of the clock, desperately wanting someone to knock on our door with boxes of gifts in Christmas wrapping paper, a cooked turkey, cranberry sauce, sweet potatoes, peas, and a pumpkin pie. But all I heard was silence. I went to my mother's bedroom and stood at the foot of the bed. The room reeked of a combination of Vicks, Bengay, and rubbing alcohol. "Ma," I said, "we need a tree for Christmas. Everyone has one. Where's ours? If you give me $1, I'll go out and get one." She went into her usual tirade. "$1? Where can you get a tree on Christmas Eve for $1? All the stores are closed. Besides, I have no money. Your rotten dog father left us penniless. No, I can't give you $1. Ugh, I persisted. "Come on, Ma," I begged. "Can't you give me just $1? I'll find a tree and bring it home. We need a tree." No response from my mother. I stood there and rocked back and forth on my feet, hoping and praying my mother would change her mind. After what seemed like hours, my mother silently reached under her pillow and brought out her well-worn purse. She dug deeply and found, one at a time, 4 quarters. She reached out with her hand with the money in it. and I scrambled over and grabbed it, put on my jacket, and ran out the door, clutching the money. Out on the street, the icy wind hit my face. The streets were empty. Everyone was in their warm, cozy houses on Christmas Eve. I trudged along the blocks until I reached Prospect Avenue with its produce shops, bakeries, and five-and-dime stores. At the first produce shop, the owner was closing the lights and ready to leave. "Mister," I said, "please wait. Do you have any trees? I need to buy one." "Oh, no, honey," he said, sighing. "No trees this year. There's a strike on and we got none." I turned and went to the next door, to the bakery. I was not giving up. The man was sweeping the floor when I entered. "You got any trees?" I asked. "No, no trees," he replied as he kept sweeping away. And then he stopped, looked up at me and said, "But I have a cookie for you." So he went behind the counter and brought out a chocolate chip cookie for me. I thanked him and stuck it into my pocket. I went to a few other markets, which were all locking up, and got the same answer each time. "No, honey, no trees." I was cold and thought I should go home, but suddenly I saw two huge Irish policemen that walked towards me. "Officers," I said, and I started to cry. "What's wrong?" one of them said, bending down to face me. "What happened, little girl?" "I need a tree for my house, and there's none in the stores," I said, weeping. The men looked at each other, took my hand, and we continued my search as we went from store to store with the same answer: no Christmas trees anywhere. My hands shook, my teeth chattered. I was too cold to go on. I gave up. "Officers," I said, looking up at them, "I have to go home now. I'm too tired to look for a tree anymore." They nodded in agreement. And then, and I swear this is what happened, a truck drove towards us, its back stacked with pine trees, Christmas trees. One of the cops whistled down the driver to stop. The cop went to the window and spoke to the driver and pointed to me. The cop went to the back of the truck and took down one of the trees and brought it in front of me. "This is for you," he said. "Here is your tree." I stood there in shock. My tree in front of me. I grabbed the trunk and hugged it. The fragrance was like being in a forest full of trees. "Thank you," I said to the smiling policeman and offered the 4 quarters to them. "No, no, little lady, it's our gift to you for Christmas." With the tree heavy in my small arms, I dragged it all the way to my house. When I entered, my mother was sitting in her chair, knitting, a ball of yarn in her lap. She didn't say anything, but she nodded her approval. I searched the closets and found old ornaments and slowly, lovingly decorated my tree. We kept it up past New Year's Day. Fast forward to the present. Of course, I get a tree at Christmas. I search to find the perfect one. With all the decorations and lights on it, the tree becomes a beacon of hope. It keeps me going for another year.
Thank you, Irene. We were transported to winter there from fabulous. Next up, we have Alan Wall. In person. He's creating props.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for coming tonight.
That'll work. So, around 4 months ago, my soulmate, Carolyn Bass, and I went to San Francisco State, University of San Francisco, UCSF, to hear a presentation about Blue Zone, which most of you probably know about. Yeah, Blue Zones. Blue Zones refer to 5 places around the world where people practice super healthy lifestyles that enable them to live long, healthy life, frequently reaching 100 years old. Those 5 places are Okinawa, Japan, Sardinia, Italy, Ikaria, Greece, Nicoya, Costa Rica, and Loma Linda, California, which is a tight-knit community of Seventh-day Adventists. Listening to this presentation reminded me of an article that I had read 3 months earlier in the December 2025 issue of AARP magazine, titled "The Top 100 Places in the United States in Which to Grow Older." And this article ranked San Francisco #1.
Yeah.
And it cited our moderate climate, all the countless places to go around the bay where we can explore, walk around, and of course, the great transportation network that we have to get us there, and the high quality public health system that we have in the Bay Area. That evening, after the Blue Zones presentation, I said to Carolyn, I said, with a little bit of help, San Francisco Bay Area can become a Blue Zone. I mean, consider we live right next door to the Central Valley, which grows more than half of the organic produce consumed in the entire United States. And so it occurred to me the perfect pathway to becoming a Blue Zone would be to have every man, woman, and child in the Bay Area to eat organic. And it would be very easy for them to know what's organic if they just pay attention to that little sticker that's on fruits and vegetables when they go shopping at the supermarket. The International Federation of Growers sponsors this standardized program. The stickers contain what's called a PLU, or price lookup code, which are 4 or 5-digit numbers that identify every type of fruit and vegetable, every variety, its size, the shape, the color. Hundreds and hundreds of codes that tell the supermarket checker what to ring up. Okay. Now, if the code is 5 digits and it starts with a 9, it's organic. Now, this is a conventional avocado. Okay, its PLU code is 4046. This is an organic avocado. Its PLU code is 94046. And that's all you need to know. So, what we're going to do is we're going to spread the word throughout the Bay Area look for the 9. Look for the 9. Look for the 9. And to help us become a blue zone even sooner, we will incorporate another 5-digit code that begins with 9. Anybody have any idea what that might be? Use it every day. 5-digit code begins with a 9.
It's 9411.
Zip code. That's right. And because we live on the West Coast, everybody in this room has a zip code that starts with 9. So Pacifica, for example, 94044 has a zip code that corresponds to an organic peach. PLU code 94044. Ruth's Table, San Francisco, zip code 94112. Small Regent apple, organic small Regent apple, PLU code 94112. And so it is around the Bay. Every city around the Bay, every neighborhood in San Francisco bears a zip code that correlates to a PLU code that identifies a specific organic fruit or vegetable. Now I gotta ask you, how cool is that?
Yeah. It's not that up.
Yeah. Now to take us even closer to becoming a blue zone, now we know that West Coast zip code begins with a 9. Because we live in the Bay Area, our zip code's second digit is a 4. Okay? 94. September 4th. So I propose that on 9/4, September 4th, all of the cities around the San Francisco Bay Area will proclaim zip code organic fruit and vegetable day. And we'll celebrate the particular organic fruit or vegetable associated with that city. Now, let me warn you, a couple of cities might resist a little bit. Like, for example, Hayward, for some reason, wants to identify with Zucchini Festival, right? No. The Zucchini Festival will never do. Zucchini, 94067, belongs in San Bruno. 940. If Hayward Zucchini Festival on Hesperian Boulevard, zip code 94541, wants to celebrate a fruit or vegetable, it's got to celebrate an organic beet. PLU code 94541. And what about the Half Moon Bay Pumpkin Festival? Oh, no. Those giant pumpkins, I'm sorry, I couldn't bring one in, I wouldn't fit my car. But the giant pumpkins, 94735, those belong in Berkeley. If Half Moon Bay wants to celebrate, they have to celebrate the organic Macintosh apple. Okay, PLU code 94019. That's Half Moon Bay. Now you're probably wondering at this point, so what will organic fruit and vegetable day, zip code organic fruit and vegetable day, how's that going to unfold? Well, here at Ruth's Table, we'll start off the day learning all about the organic small Regent apple. Developed by a team of botanists at the University of Minnesota in 1963. It's a cross between the Daniel's Red Duchess and the Delicious. Next,
we'll have a tasting. Nicely balanced. Sweet, just a hint of tartness. Very juicy texture. Kind of reminds me of a tropical fruit. After that, we'll have a culinary demonstration. We will prepare and sample organic, small, Regent apple salsa. And then finally, we'll have some games and a contest, because the organic small Regent apple is known for its crunchiness. We'll have everybody take a bite of their apple and see who can make the loudest crunch. And I am confident by the end of the day, San Francisco Bay Area will be firmly established as a blue zone. I hope all of you will wear your Look for the 9 badge proudly. And I will see you back here on 9/4, September 4th, as we celebrate Zip Code Organic Fruit Vegetable Day, and particularly the organic small Regent apple. PLU code and zip code, let's say it together, 9, 4, 1, 1, 2. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan. That is a hard act to follow. But I'm gonna call on Grace Donka to follow that act. I don't know, she has no props whatsoever. But a really nice. Thank you, Grace.
Yeah, it's a hard act of, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hard act to follow, and I'm gonna get over to the edge. I do want to say thank you to the people, the original people who started Elderwood Quake. Jessie Scrimmager Gallagher, I don't think she's here. Kevin Dublin, Anthony, I'm gonna butcher your last name, and you're still here. Charlie Getter, Marina Lazara, and Julie Rogers. This was in 2019, and it's still going, and it's gotten bigger and better. This is from a prompt that Anthony gave us from a poet, Dorothy Chan. And I can't remember what the prompt was and what her poem was, but it's time to wind the clocks, find the jumbled keys, then go backward, teeter-totter between truth and fantasy, ghosts and lies, dreams of finding mom's old gold glasses. I think mom just got the glasses. You used to be, dreams of finding mom's old gold glasses you used to be ashamed of in the skinny top drawer among divorced socks. Learn to see between the cracks. Learn to love the drafts kissing our face. Not look over our shoulder for wisdom or mercy. Take Pop's old war gun from the rafters and carry it in a shoebox like a broken bird, tiptoeing on the ice, shivering till the off-duty cop opens his door and blows our fears away. This is called Then. Then I had to be always home to interpret the sounds, signals, the melted ice cream on the counter in the morning, crashes in the dark if you fell, by miracle not hurt, me moving too fast, trying to hold on to my life inside the catastrophe of you, us, now. Have always gas in the tank to rush back, rush you out. In the dark down the road for chemicals that half worked until we could not ignore the why of doing it. I rehearsed, cursed into the elevator, wept on the porch, mourn my loss of you, me, you. Finally, the woman at the post office handed me a naked blue and orange box with you sifting out. I was shocked how heavy it was.
Oh, no.
Do I exist without you? Absence grows when the day sifts late into rooms that hold memories and ache for more. I wonder if belonging is overrated. I busy myself with worry. Will the roof hold up? Do I need to replace the frou-frou that fell off the front of the gingerbread house? You always said it was important to prevent waste. Does that mean I must paint the house when I'm saving for my demise so the kids will be okay? Though it would be spectacular, the only gingerbread house on the block, people stop to admire it. Must I buy a new refrigerator? I forget to drain the aluminum pan that catches the water that drips out of the freezer onto the top shelf. How does wet water come out of a freezer, for fuck's sake? He would have known what to do with it if he was still here. Could I get electrocuted? Are there killer bacteria in that water? I keep forgetting to think about it. Do I exist without you? Does anybody really see me? Only one person is left I can tell my entire self to. She knows the best of me and the least of me. She's getting a little confused, a little frail. It scares me. I do exist without you. I am no longer ragdoll, spending too much of myself pleasing. So I go out every day and share parts of myself with parts of others until I'm tired and grateful and still here. This last one, instructions to my daughter. Drape me in magenta, red, and teal. Find the best photo among the many that make me cringe. Black and white are one of those portraits, self-portraits I made no one understands. If we're brave enough, put me in the ground somewhere where the wind whooshes out over the water. Though it might be thrilling to go out in fire like your dad did, all that heat and spark, but he has not yet come back to let us know about that. Go dancing, go to the ocean, ride the old streetcar down Market Street on a Wednesday afternoon, resurrect my mother's recipe for poppy seed cake with lemon filling and chalky white icing just on top. Wear her old gold earrings my father brought from Sicily, his dowry. Share them with my grandchildren. Keep my writing, maybe even read it all. It might be a life rope for ones in our line who don't fit anywhere. A bridge to wherever I end up.
Let's give it up for Grace Bianca, 1 minute. That brings us to the end of the event. Thank you folks all for coming. Again, if you are a contributor, you can get 2 copies at the back with Sophia Cross, that's helping us out over there. And again, I just want to say thank you everyone for coming, producing such wonderful work, paying attention, and all the support that you folks give us as we're trying to put this program together. You folks really are the backbone, so I really appreciate it. And happy Friday, folks. Thanks again. Sorry. Oh, okay.